What's up, everybody? It's a party today on Standing Out. We got a big show for you. Got a lot in store, some guests, some highlights. Let's go. What's up, everybody? Trey Griggs here, Beta Consulting Group. So good to have you on the show today for another episode of Standing Out, daily podcast about sales, marketing, and leadership. All right, here we go. So here's what we got. So I got a special segment today to start the show. We're not going to do all the announcements. We're going to push 5 or 9. So here's what we're going to do. I've got to bring on my good friend, Andy Tooley, onto the show from Saffro Transportation. He's going to talk about something he's doing that everybody should be doing. So everybody give it up for my good friend, Andy Tooley.
Hey, Trey.
Andy, what's up, man? How you doing?
Oh, doing well. How are you?
Good. It is so good to see you, man. I know that you're not the guest today, but I wanted to get this in there because, man, I'm so excited about what you are doing right now. You're with Saffro Transportation, and you're doing something special, man. Tell us all about it.
Yeah, we are launching a podcast series starting tomorrow called the Saffro Stories. We're excited to bring our people, our squad out to tell what we're working on. Freight brokerage on the surface seems a lot the same, but to me, the people really make it stand out and shine. And so we're going to give our people and our vendors and who makes Saffro unique a chance to tell that story.
I love it, folks. And everybody, I know you're waiting for Brent and Charlie. We're going to have them on in a minute. But listen, this is so cool because, Andy, this is all about how you really stand out in a crowded field. And I love the fact you're going to be telling these stories. What kind of guests are you going to be having on the show? Who's going to be on the show?
Well, our inaugural one tomorrow will be you. And I appreciate you. You were a lot of our inspiration for it. We have Charlie coming up in the next couple of weeks, Dan Hellman from Hub Tech. Just a myriad of people that we interacted with to help really make Saffro unique in the marketplace.
Yeah, no, I love it. I can't wait to see what you guys are going to do. Tell them those stories out there. Where can people find the Saffro stories?
It will go live on our LinkedIn tomorrow, and we have a YouTube channel coming up with it, everything else. And so we'll have more details on that tomorrow as we launch that inaugural one. So,
and will it also be on audio as well?
Yes. Yep. Audio and video.
Oh, awesome. I'm so excited about that. Well, hey, kudos to you. I think more people need to do this. Listen, everybody out there, these stories need to be told, especially in our industry and transportation. And if you truly want to stand out, consider doing something like what Andy and the folks over at Saffro are doing by starting your own podcast. Andy, best wishes to you, man. I'm so excited for you. Can't wait to hear every episode.
I appreciate the chance to come on, man. Thank you.
Awesome, buddy. We'll talk to you real soon. Yep. We'll see you, man. All right, everybody. So listen. Definitely check out the Saffro Stories. I love what Andy Tooley is doing over there. Great organization coming out of Kansas City, home of the Chiefs, everybody, just in case you didn't know that. So very excited to do that. So definitely want you guys to check out Saffro Stories and what Andy Tooley is doing over there. Okay, listen, we got a big show today. We got a lot to talk about. I have two of the biggest personalities in transportation and logistics. Just about everybody knows who they are. But listen, we got a lot to talk about. A lot's happening right now in the labor market and what's happening. So I want to welcome to the show my good friends, Charlie Saffro and Brent Orsuga. What's up, Charlie? How are you? Brent, what's up?
What's up, buddy?
Oh my gosh, this is huge. We were talking about this backstage. You guys have never done this before. This is a first.
Well, we've talked a lot before and we have a great relationship. We've just never been on a show like this before together.
And some people might not know that you guys do have a great relationship. I mean, you're definitely competitors. You're both recruiters in the space, but there is a certain sense of respect and collaboration that you guys have. Brent, where did that come from, man? How did that begin with you guys?
I think Charlie and I have known each other a long time, and we both play the same sport, and we have mutual respect for that. We don't really come across a lot of overlap, and I think we do things differently, but it works for us, right? And so what people don't realize is there's a lot of text and things that go on behind the scenes with even scenarios and situations, right? Because I think both of us mutually always want to get better and become the best. And so for us to be able to help each other out, what's the downside of that, right? We're trying to help a big industry in our own ways.
It's a huge industry and there's enough pie to go around. But we're going to talk about some of those differences today because there are some definite differences you guys talk about on social media. We're going to dig into that here in just a little bit. We got a lot of people popping into the comments right now. James Jackson jumping in. So this, of course, is going to be a good one, James. One of the best we're going to have on there. Dan Penrod, what's up? Matt Leffler, Chris Horton, everybody's in the comments today. It's going to be awesome. So let's start with this. Charlie, I want to throw this one to you. What are some of the latest trends that you are seeing right now in hiring? We've been kind of going up and down a little bit. The pandemic kind of everything changed a little bit from who had leverage, how people worked, where they worked, all that. Things are starting to come back to maybe normal. I don't know. Talk about the trends. What are you seeing out there?
If I had to pick a word to describe the talent market today in our industry, but really globally, it's probably that it's just confusing. Exactly what you just said. We're kind of seeing both sides of the spectrum. We're hearing about layoffs and a recession, but then we're still seeing and really feeling that the demand for talent is greater than the supply of candidates. So, Brent, I don't know if you would agree, but it just seems like it's upside down. From a real trend standpoint, definitely there are a lot of jobs open. New jobs are being created by technology and innovation in this industry. Offers are also being rejected, and I think that's a really good point. Yeah, way down. I mean, usually you see about 90% of offers accepted. Right now, it's closer to 40%. So, what that tells me is companies just need to be prepared. They need to put their best foot forward and know that candidates may get a counter. They probably have other opportunities, if not other offers in hand. So, make a good impression, and it counts from the minute you meet that candidate through the entire process.
Charlie, let me follow up on that real quick. How much is timing a factor in this? Because some companies used to take a month to hire, 6 weeks to hire, a long process. How much does timing impact that rejection rate?
Our days to fill a position has pretty much stayed the same. I'd say plus or minus 5 days. It usually takes us about 2 months from the day we launch a search to the day an offer is signed. There's a lot of conflicting information out there. If you are going to make a hire, you want that person to be a long-term hire. You need to evaluate them, get to know them, spend time having conversations about them professionally and personally. And there's a lot of information out there about we got to speed it up, 24 hours, extending an offer. So I think we have to find a happy medium. You have to have the right decision makers involved. And it all comes back to, that hiring company having the stakeholders aligned from the beginning. Who are we looking for? How are we going to handle the interview process? Why do we need this position filled? When do we need it filled? But you still have to give, on both sides, just a good amount of time to really evaluate if it's a fit.
Well, the old adage used to be, hire slow and fire fast. That's kind of what we hear. But Brent, I think you've seen some things a little bit different. And you're a big believer in this too. Time kills all deals. Where are you seeing time play a role?
Look, I mean, I think I've said that for a long time, and I truly believe it. Because again, when you play in such a competitive market as now, time is of the essence. You don't have time to cut corners and drag things out because somebody else can knock on the door of that individual. One thing that Charlie and I spoke about in San Diego at TIA was a philosophy around 3 touches in 10 days. If you utilize the interview process properly, you shouldn't have to drag this out. Charlie, I think you would agree with me. This is one of the biggest pain points I see is companies get on calls with people with no agenda, no purpose. They spend the first 20 minutes shooting the breeze. You got to be effective. You have to go into motion when you have these people. People are busy. Don't waste their time, right? A lot of this due diligence can be done at a different point, but in the interview process, and this is another thing too, does your company have a formalized process? Do they have a hiring team? Does the candidate know exactly what the steps are going to be? Or is it loosey-goosey and are you chasing calendars?
Well, I think people got away with that for way too long. Just not having a process, not having that. How would you let's talk about that for a minute. How can companies be more effective with their time and with their process to get it done quickly, but not make a bad hire as much as possible? Not make a quick decision that's really going to bite them in the butt down the road.
I can speak on that because I think one of the biggest things you got to identify is who are we? What's our identity? What works for us, right? Because brokerage is brokerage as an example. But every single company has a different culture, a different identity, a different avatar of what works. So until you have that clearly defined, you're just taking phone calls. But the more that you can narrow that down and be you know what? This player works really well in our system. This player is a really good fit in our locker room. You don't know what you're targeting.
All right, let me ask you a quick follow-up, and then Charlie, I want you to answer that as well. So
Sure.
Brent, when it comes to that, how many companies out there that you work with don't even have a good sense of their own identity or culture, or at least not a way that they can communicate it effectively, or they haven't established it to know what kind of player they're really looking for? They're just trying to fill a position.
Well, I think many, because I think a lot of companies focus on a title as opposed to the person. So they look at carrier sales, account management, customer sales. So they start to look for people that have that in their background, but that doesn't mean everything, right? There's a lot more moving parts to getting the right fit for yourself. So I think you have to look at who's winning in your environment. What is their background? Where did they come from, right? What has been the trajectory for their success? And then rinse and repeat. How do we get more of that? And then honestly, you got to look in the mirror. If people are not winning in your organization, sometimes the leadership has to look in the mirror too. What is our onboarding? What is our training? Do we have continual training? Are we investing in this stuff? Like Charlie, you and I can talk for a long time around this whole quiet quitting stuff. I don't blame the individuals. Sometimes I blame the companies, because you know why? You are what you tolerate.
Mm-hmm.
If you're allowing people to do that in your organization, wake up, look in the mirror.
What you tolerate becomes the standard. That is so true. So true. Okay, so Charlie, I want to ask you the same question. Like, what can companies do to find that balance between moving quickly so they don't lose out on a candidate, but also making a great choice?
I think there's a couple things that are really key here. You know, a lot of times a candidate will have a first conversation with an HR partner or a talent acquisition partner. And I think if that is part of the process, like, take advantage of that time, have pointed questions that are consistent, that help that individual determine if they move that person forward. Another thing that we do in our organization is we really try to expose the candidate to multiple people, but in a consolidated time. So think of a 1-hour interview where 4 people pop in for 15 minutes and then the next one pops off. So we're efficient. It's just like supply chain. Like, how do we solve these problems and still be effective, but reduce the time? I'll also say in our organization, I was personally one of the stopgaps just because of my schedule. So we'd get a great candidate, and then by the time I could meet them, you know, a week went by. And so I eventually just removed myself from the interview process. I've got a team of people that are empowered to make these decisions. They're the ones on the front line. I meet these candidates before they start with our company, but I'm perfectly fine surrendering and not having true decision-making power if it's going to hold up the process. So just more companies thinking like that. How can we take it from start to finish and be efficient and effective?
Yeah, it's just being intentional. And I just think too many companies are not intentional. That's a huge problem. All right, quick question from the audience. Greg Roberts over at Madsen Logistics wants to know, is a 2-round interview process too slow? How many rounds, like what's more ideal, or what? Talk a little bit about that, some of the ins and outs of that.
That's music to my ears. I love that, right?
Me too.
Let's go. Because again, if you utilize, it boils down to like a relationship with Charlie and myself, or her team and our team. We're going to give you a lot of data on the front end, right? There shouldn't be a lot of small talk. Like, we're giving you the highlight version of this person, the bio. You know, you heard me say all the time, I care about the person, not just the paper. Here's the overall view of where this person is, chapter of life, hand delivered to a client. So once you have that phone call 1 should not be a lot of small talk. It should be effective, talking about the individual and the company. And then step 2 should, yeah, absolutely, Greg, that can be a decision maker and go into motion. Because here's what you have to understand, and Charlie can back me on this. An offer doesn't mean much these days. An offer is just another stage of the process, because what you and I and Greg and anyone can do is everything, but still get that person through the exit where they are.
Ooh, we're going to talk about that.
When you're making offers, things are slam dunks, because it's far from the case in 2022.
We're going to talk about the exit in just a minute, because that's huge, especially with counter offers. That's a buzz. Jeff Dickinson was talking about that as well. But I want to ask you this question too, and Charlie, let me know your thoughts on this. You know, Brent was just talking about how he hand delivers all the client or the prospect information to the client, more than just the piece of paper, but who they are. How often are companies returning the favor? How often do companies have something where they can say, give this to a prospect so they know who we are before the interview as possible as well? Do a lot of companies do that?
That is such a great point, Trey. And no, I do not see a ton of companies in our industry doing that. Maybe when you get to the offer letter, there's a 1-pager on benefits, but I think that every company out there needs to be aware of their talent brand. People are going to have a perception of your company whether it's the perception you want them to have or not. So that's your opportunity to set it straight, whether it's an FAQ section on your website or something that, the hiring manager or recruiting firm can give before the first interview. Just set the tone. Here's who we are as a company beyond the checklist, beyond the benefits. This is how we run our business. These are our philosophies. I think that goes a long way. And it just, companies taking a step to even create that information and put it out there.
Well, this is music to my ears because I want to hop on this for a little bit, because you two, both of you, each have built incredible brands in our industry, both individually, but also with your companies. And this is where I think companies, they lose sight of what branding is really all about. Like, branding is all about like recruiting. That's a huge part of it, is showing who you are as a company. Can you guys hear my dog in the background? He's going crazy. Sorry about that. We'll mute it. I don't know. We'll mute it in a minute. But anyways, branding is about like telling your story of who you are. When you do that, like, prospects see that and they know your company before they ever jump into the interview process. It's amazing. Talk about the value of that. Companies like Freight Vaughn, I'm gonna shout them from the rooftops. Their recruits know who they are before they ever come in for a job interview, and it makes all the difference. Like, talk about the value of that.
I think that the biggest value in that is that you are proving you have a retention strategy when you go out to recruit. And when you take care of the people that you have, you're not only creating culture champions, but you're creating referrals and this whole network. When you put people out there and show, yes, it's work, but they're happy to be here every day. They feel connected. They feel fulfilled. So the more behind the scenes footage or information you can share, the more excited the candidate is going to get about an opportunity to speak with that company.
Yeah. And I think, look, we live in a visual world. We've talked about this for years, like the movie trailer mindset. Instagram is real. TikTok is real. Right? LinkedIn 100%. Is very abundant. So the days of hiding behind a Word job description and a static website are gone, right? Yeah. You have to think, what is going to draw people in, whether it be a company, whether it be a restaurant, whether it be a hotel, whether it be a sporting event. What do? Right? They give you a teaser. They give you a glimpse into, this is who we are. Look at some companies who just do a behind the scenes tutorial of what their office looks like. Just like in real estate, right? Realtors walk through a house. Hey, look at the kitchen. Look at the backyard. It's the same thing from a company. Number one. Number two, why are companies not highlighting their employees? This is who we are. This is what we have. This works for us. Because again, talk about that avatar. Like, I think, Charlie, you would agree with me. I see a lot more of companies having like a brand ambassador, right? This is like our internal cheerleader. This is who we are. We want more of this. So the more that companies can broadcast that and, again, control the narrative, why are you not utilizing that? And we've seen some companies do a great job at that.
And not to mention that is a whole other employee recognition strategy. So it goes beyond recruiting. It's really showing, like, we want to highlight this person because it's their anniversary, because they received a promotion, because they went out of the way. And by doing that, you're really rewarding your team internally and showing that you care enough about them to put it out publicly, and they deserve that respect and recognition. But it also indirectly is influencing your talent brand and your whole recruiting strategy.
Yeah. And look, not every company has Charlie or I behind the scenes selling the opportunity, right? There's a reason I've traveled all across the country to go into these offices. So that when we're speaking to candidates, I can tell you exactly what you're walking into. We can sell the leadership. We've had handshakes and dinners and beers with these people. We know them. But if you don't have somebody like Charlie or myself in your corner, that's a hard sell to broadcast through a website with 5-year-old pictures.
Yeah, and let's be real clear about something right now. It doesn't matter if you're hiring millennials or Gen Xers or Gen Z. It doesn't matter. They're going to go to your social media accounts before they ever walk in that interview. They're going to go to your LinkedIn. They're going to go to your Instagram, your TikTok, and your Facebook, and see what you're putting out there. See what you're highlighting. See what your company cultures are, your values. Before they walk in, they're going to make a decision probably before they come to the interview whether or not they really are interested or not. That level of interest is going to go up, or it's going to go down based upon your social presence. And too many companies don't understand that. They just miss that. It blows my mind, that they're not building their brand.
Yeah. And the same goes on the flip side. I mean, when you think about a candidate's resume, you have, 2, maybe 3 pages to tell your story, to say, this is who I am and why you should hire me. Companies are going on social media. And I'd say LinkedIn is just an extension of your resume. So the recommendations that you have on there, the people you're connected to, even as far as like your headline in your about section, candidates really need to be cognizant that there is a chance to brand themselves beyond a piece of paper. And if an employer is wise, they're going to take that extra step before they make any decisions.
Well,
Yeah,
and I think,
go ahead.
and I think too, Charlie, you only get one shot at a first impression. And sometimes in this world, the first impression is your LinkedIn profile, right? It is your social media. So you have to have this mindset. What are people seeing? And here's the beautiful part. You control that, right? Like you control that as an individual. This is who I am. This is what I broadcast. And we've seen a lot of people, even within our industry, showcase who they are. They show working out. They show their family. They show podcasts. They show books. Very similar to myself. So people get a sense of who you are without saying, hey, I'm the best seller out there, by the way.
100%. It's the celebrity effect. And I don't mean that in a weird way. It's that people feel like they know you before they ever meet you. They feel like they know what you value, what you care about. They're going to know that you care about the Colts because you just put a post about them tying, which is a loss. I agree with you on that. Yeah. So you just put a post about that. So they know that about you. And there's other details about your life. And that's so valuable. Question from the audience from Matthew Fink. He says he often sees recruiters get overzealous on describing incredible opportunities. Tips from you guys on how a candidate can vet through the marketing.
I truly believe that just like in the dating world, there's a person for everyone, there's an opportunity for everyone. So it has to be a very individualized vetting process. A recruiter can tell you they're a great company. The hiring manager can tell you it's a great company. It's up to the candidate to ask the right questions and do their research. And there's some very simple questions that a candidate could ask the interviewer. And I think a lot of times the candidates just they'll either kind of freak out at the end of the interview when they're asked if they have questions and they, no, I'm good. You answered everything. But what is your favorite thing about working here? When was the last time somebody got promoted internally? How do you describe your culture in 3 words? And having it's the courage really for a candidate to ask those questions and try to ask them with everyone you interview with, because you're going to get their human response and at least be able to read their body language to know if it's a place that you want to be at.
That's a great word to use, your courage to ask those questions. I think a lot of candidates get afraid to ask because they don't want to offend or upset or whatever, but they need to evaluate. And asking the same question to different people, you do get to read their responses. What do their facial expressions say? Do they slouch back? Do their shoulders come back? What are they doing in their nonverbals? Those are so critical to understand that. Here's my one tip, and then I'm going to you on this. I firmly believe that right now, and maybe forever, but definitely I'm firmly believing this now, it is so important to evaluate the leadership of the company more than anything else in the company, because everything starts at the top. What kind of leader is driving this company? And you should be able to get a feel for that as you work your way through the different levels, different layers of people there. You should get a sense for that, but who the leadership is dictates everything. I'd rather work for somebody that I respect as a leader who's going to pour into me than the perfect job of what I actually want to do. I'd rather dig ditches with somebody who's going to inspire me and push me to be better than have my quote unquote perfect job with a leadership team that I can't stand. Brent, you jump in, talk about that.
Look, we're all sports people. The Jordan take from The Last Dance always sticks with me. I'll never ask somebody to do something I wouldn't do. Mm-hmm. I'm a big believer in follow the leader, asking hard questions. What is this person's background? Where are they trying to go? What's the trajectory? What are we accomplishing here, right? Like, because if you don't want to work for somebody that is half in, right? They kind of show up at 9, they're playing golf all the time. Like, to me, that's not a leader, right? A leader's in the trenches. At least I can only speak for myself and how I operate, right? And so, like, I've always led from the front, and there's a lot of arguments around that as well. But I'm going to set the tone, right? I'm going to be that engine that is going to drive us to wherever we're going to go. But I think equally as important, as much as you do follow the leader, I think you have to look for success stories, right? Has there been successful people here, whether they've been here a long time or they've transferred over to other places? Have they gotten better in this environment? And selfishly, can I do the same?
Yeah,
it's
and those are great.
About a base salary number. And I think people have to get off of that. That is one variable in the grand scheme of so many different things.
Oh, and I guarantee that people would be happier taking less money but working for a great organization than having that base that they think they need or the job they think they need and being miserable. 6 months down the road, they're coming back to you. A year down the road, they're coming back going, I need something new. I'm not happy. It's not good. So I want to talk about, but we're going to get to counter offers in just a minute because Jeff brought that up here on the comments. But I want to talk about real quick just a couple of key questions that a prospective employee could ask to an employer that would help them wade through all the marketing and all the spiels they hear, what are some great questions? Charlie, give me one or two, like your top questions that you would encourage prospective employees to ask.
I mean, I think a big question is just asking, like, what is your purpose and your connection to your work? Clearly, I mean, Brent and I are very fortunate that our service is gratifying. We are helping people, helping companies. And at the end of the day, I hope that my entire team feels that connection as much as I do remind them. I probably don't need to remind them. They're getting the testimonials and the feedback on their own. So I think asking that, and I think asking, like I said before, like, describe your culture to me in 3 words, or tell me how your team connects in and out of the workplace or in and after the workday, just to really dig deeper and get an honest answer.
Yeah. Brent, how about you, man? What are some good questions that you always recommend?
I just look at track records, right? I want to know who's winning. Like, what is the background of somebody who's had a lot of success here? And what does it look like for somebody that's not having a lot of success? Right? Like,
that's
what's
a great
missing
question
for that person?
Yeah.
Because I want to know, number one, like, what's not clicking. And number two, I also want to know, what is the explanation for why a company is saying they allow low performers to hang around? That speaks volumes to me as well. That, again, is an identity. You are what you tolerate. If your business has 10 sellers, but only 2 are crushing it, red flag.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And again, the standard becomes the standard. There's no doubt about that. And I think that, to go back to what you said, Brent, about somebody who's in the trenches,
Yep.
I want to work with somebody who, like, their mission, their why is to make that company better, to make those people better. And you can't do that from the golf course 3 days a week. I love to play golf as much as anybody. I want to play golf as much as I can. But listen, I can't help my team be better if I'm out on the golf course. Can't do it.
Well, I think from a leadership standpoint, it's equally as important to kind of know you have to know your people. You have to know what their goals are, not yours, but theirs. What are they here for? What are they trying to accomplish?
100%.
Are they getting married? Are they having a child? Are they looking to put a down payment on a first home? Where are they at chapter of life? And that's how you lead people. It's by helping them get what they want. It's not about KPIs. It's not about metrics. It's about helping people get better, helping people win, and understanding what they're trying to accomplish. There's nothing more gratifying. Charlie, how many people have had their biggest commission checks, bought new homes, gotten new cars in your environment, right? That's the most rewarding thing as a leader. It's not about.
Let me point this out, Charlie. You highlight those on LinkedIn, and I love that. You highlight your team, anniversaries, things that they celebrate. You celebrate with them. That just, again, goes to the culture. These are all great things that companies can do. Let's turn our attention real quick to counteroffers. All right, this is an issue because I've had several people I know who got a great offer and then they went back to try to exit, as we've talked about. They got a counteroffer. Brent, jump in and talk about this. What's the state of counteroffers, and what's the way to navigate this as a prospective employee and as an employer?
2 words: hot trash. Counteroffers are trash. Like, if I'm a candidate and I'm getting a counteroffer, it's an insult. It's not a compliment. Why am I worth more?
Say that again.
Out the door.
Say that again.
When I'm here, busting my belly.
Oh, that is so good. That's right? Like the boyfriend who would go to break up, and they're like, "I'll be better. I'll be better. We'll do
right?
better.
Give me another shot. Everything's going to be different. This time it's going to be a little bit different. Miraculously, we came up with this new promotion and role for you. Too little, too late. I'm out, right? Now, on the company side, rather than have exit interviews or deal with those scenarios, why are you not asking questions or stay interviews? Hey, we're noticing a little dip over here. What can we do to help you make better? We're so invested in you. We want to have you have a long run here. This is where we kind of see a trajectory for you. People should not be calling Charlie or I, and we know why they do. It's because they're not seeing something where they are that sometimes they think they're going to get somewhere else. Now, that's not always the case, but you shouldn't make our job easy either.
Yeah. And I love what Jeff said. I mean, it's like you said, if they can do it now, they could have done it 3 months ago. They could have done it 6 months ago, but they clearly didn't know their people and what their people wanted or needed, or they wouldn't be in that situation. It happens all the time. Charlie, how about you? Counteroffers. Give us your take and how you help navigate through that.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with Brent. There used to be some data out there that said people who accept counteroffers very rarely last another 6 months at that company because the reason they wanted to leave in the first place still exists. I also do think, though, on the flip side, companies need to be prepared for this now more than ever. And on our team, like, we have a strategy. We know that if somebody came to resign for whatever reason, who's worth fighting for? And sometimes it's that simple question, like, is there anything we could have done to keep you? Or is there anything we could do? It's all situational. If somebody's going to a competitor, let them go. If they're leaving the company for something they want to explore and they're worth keeping, maybe you fight for them. But I totally agree with you, Brent. I mean, if they pursued an interview and they pursued a job search, there's a reason they did that. And it's probably best to not accept the counter and to follow your path.
And here's the other thing that people don't realize.
To not accept. Go ahead, Brent.
Yeah, Charlie, when people take counter offers, do you forget when that happens? Do you forget the interaction that they had with us or the client? I remember. I have a list. I talk a lot about lists. You're on my list now.
You just burned that bridge. And it goes well beyond my relationship with you. You just burned a bridge with a company that invested multiple people's time and energy, and now you're probably blacklisted.
Yeah. I'm not in the business of getting people raised. Charlie knows this. We're not in the people of getting people raises where they are. Mm-hmm. I think we should start to send invoices for all these people that we've gotten raises for, right? How about that?
Exactly.
All right. Hey, we got a question from the audience that this is a little controversial because you guys do work a little differently. We're going to talk about this for just a moment, but we had a question from the audience that says, when your organizations merge, is it going to be CS Pinnacle or Pinnacle CS? I don't anticipate this happening anytime soon because you do have some differences in terms of how you work. I know, Charlie, you've been pushing a lot of flexibility when your organization, 4-day work weeks or flex Fridays. You've been talking about that. That's obviously a trend that's happening right now. Brent, I know you're pushing the nail when it comes to that. You're like, yeah, work 4 days because I'm coming at you on day 5 and day 6 and all after all that. So talk a little bit about your different philosophies when it comes to work weeks and how much people want to work. We talked about the quitting quietly crowd that is just being lazy. Brent, I want to give you the first take on this. Talk a little bit about your attitude towards like every day, showing up, no days off, and that type of thing.
Look, I mean, that mindset and that philosophy has led me to a lot of success, right? And so I've never been somebody that's taken their foot off the gas. And I think when somebody is a shark like myself and they smell blood, you're going to go into attack mode, right? So look, there's no right or wrong answer here. You have to remember that Charlie's company has an identity and she's done amazing things. I just think that she and many others have to consciously be aware that it's very dangerous to give somebody like myself 50 extra days a year to compete against, right? Because we do go full speed. That is our identity. The team can do whatever they want. I don't have rules. I speak for myself. That's how I operate. That's how I'm built. Here's the thing too. I like to win. I'm addicted to winning. And I don't want to take a day off because I love what I do. And the clients that we work with in a contingent model don't care about me playing golf. They don't care about me having days off. They want performance, and we're paid on performance, so I'm going to perform.
And the truth is, Brent, let's just be honest. What would you be doing if you took a day off? You'd be fidgety because you want to get back in the office and work. That's just you. That's just
what you don't see is I'm standing on a knee scooter right now going crazy. I cannot sit still because, again, there's no right or wrong, but my identity, I want to win, and I'm going to do that at whatever cost it takes, personally.
Yeah, and Charlie, you're kind of on a slightly different in the spectrum. You're still competitive. I know you. You're competitive. You want to win. You're all about that, but you've also taken a different approach to it, and it goes to, like what Brent said, identity. Talk about your philosophy and why you guys have gone Flex Friday.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's all about retention and culture, and we've got 40 people on our team. I have to be aware of them approaching burnout, and I have to do whatever I can as a leader to help them manage their time, find balance, and prevent that burnout when they get to that point. So what I'll say about our team is we know how to manage our time. We've got systems, processes, technologies in place that truly allow everyone to do their job in 4 days. We have not adjusted our goals, but truly we're moving towards that 4-day work week. But the biggest thing about it is that we are empowering our team by saying to them, you're flexible on Fridays and you manage your day the way you see fit. We're saying to them, we trust you. We hired you because we believe in you. I'd say the majority of my team puts time in on Fridays, but we've got some sharks out there that they just go full force Monday through Thursday, and they enjoy and deserve to enjoy their Friday off. So I'm still here for the competition. The biggest difference, I think, between Brent and I is the size of our teams. And I know I can push myself and I can go, and that's where I thrive. But you have to be conscious of other people, and they're at different points of their careers. They're at different positions. So you've got to empower them and make them feel trusted and appreciated also. It really plays into that culture and retention.
Well,
should we finish this for him, Brent?
Yeah, he paused. So look, I mean, and again, to piggyback on that, there's no right or wrong answer.
I clearly found the way that you guys get it done. Sorry, everybody. I'm literally hardwired in. I don't know why. So all apologies to everybody on that. But anyways, what I was saying was, I love the fact that both of you have your own identities. You're confident in that, and you both have.
Oh man.
Yeah, we're good. But again, I mean, look, Charlie and myself have placed over the past decade, Charlie, thousands and thousands of people within this industry. She's had a lot of success. We've had a lot of success. The ways that we do it behind the scenes isn't really important. We're here for the same reason and the same purpose, which is to serve the industry that we play in and help people. Because you got to remember, in recruiting, it's a triangle. The company has to win, the candidate has to win, and we just win lastly. So I think no matter how we do it and how we operate, we always put others before ourselves. We just do it a little bit differently.
So true. Yeah.
I love that. And we're a little over time. I just realized we're 5 minutes over. Do you guys have a few more minutes? I got one more question I want to ask you. The audience wants to know about this. What's your take right now on the companies that are pushing to go back to the office? We're seeing Apple, we're seeing Google, we're seeing companies trying to get their people back in the office, even if it's 3 days a week. MasterCard now is a 3-day-a-week requirement for that, versus those that have gone completely hybrid or remote. And some that have gone hybrid. Charlie, you're completely remote. Brent, your team is completely remote, but you're seeing, especially in freight brokerages, a lot of companies wanting to start pulling those people back in the office. How is that impacting hiring and, recruiting and all that?
I just read some data that 61% of people with desk jobs want to work remote, and then 34% of people with desk jobs want hybrid. So at the end of the day, there's a very little percent of people who have desk jobs who want to go back into the office full time. And the companies that listen to that and believe that data and act on it are the ones that are going to rise. I strongly believe that if you have a desk job, you deserve flexibility, and we've proved it. It wasn't easy to move fully virtual. There's a lot of different things we've had to implement, but we've done it. And I can tell you from our clients, and I know Brent will agree, our clients that have loosened their searches to accommodate hybrid or fully remote employees are the ones that are getting the best talent right now. It's so obvious. Do you want people in your zip code, or do you want people in the entire country? And if you're after the best person, you've got to look beyond your zip code.
Charlie, you're gonna have to send us that data real quick so we can see what that is. Get us that. That'd be awesome to hear. But that's fascinating information, because you definitely open up your talent pool. But Brent, you're kind of seeing something else, especially with these freight brokerages, the ones that they're used to having everybody on the floor. What are you seeing in that regard?
Well, you have to remember, March 2020 was forced. It wasn't an option. Brokerages for the longest time were built a certain way for a certain reason, right? They were successful.
They would not have chosen that on their own. That's right.
Yeah, and here's the reality. Sales in general has always had flexibility. It is what it is. We saw it first happen on the operational side. You never heard of remote carrier sales or remote account management more than 2 years ago. It just was an anomaly situation. But here's the thing. Everyone got gifted it, right? I'm a big believer, and remember these words. Things are caught, not taught. If I am an employee, I still think there is value in being around people. I don't know that I want full remote, right? Charlie and I, we came up in organizations where you learn from the people next to you. You're asking questions. You're picking things up that they say. There's a lot of value in that. Is it hard to lead people if I want to get into leadership? Is it hard to do that through Zoom? Absolutely, right? The three of us can get a lot done. I promise you, if we sit in a room with a whiteboard, we're hammering out a lot more. So it depends where you are, chapter of life, and what you want. Again, no right or wrong answer. If you want flexibility, you want to pick up your kids, you need to do that, there's a home for you. If you want to go down another path, then be consciously aware of it and go get that as well. So these are all decisions that people have to make, and companies, again, have to understand who they are, what works for us, what are we open to, do we have proper onboarding? There's so many moving parts to something that was not even non-existent 2 years ago.
Yeah, and it comes back to proper expectations. As long as the employee and the employer have the proper expectations of each other, there's a good chance to win. Charlie, I think you would agree with me that it is different to lead and to create culture remotely, but it's definitely possible. Especially with technology we have today, it's possible. It just takes a little bit more intentionality and very different in that regard, but it's definitely possible. How are you guys doing that? We're going to end with that. How are you guys, creating that culture when you're completely remote?
I mean, we've implemented so many different things at different stages. So the way we interview, the way we onboard, the way we train, we have figured out how to keep that connection virtually. And also, don't get me wrong. I mean, I will see in a year, I will see every employee in my organization a minimum of 15 times, the way that we schedule our get-togethers. And yeah, in person. And when we do get together, it's that much more special. And we really try to focus on the personal connections and handle the business on Zoom. So I really give my team a lot of credit. I can't take credit for myself, but we've done our research, we've thought it out, we've surveyed our team, we've normalized those conversations internally, and we know what works, and we're really proud of the team we have and the way we've adjusted to it.
So at CS Recruiting, distance has made the heart grow fonder, is what I'm hearing. That's
exactly.
Hey, listen, Brent, Charlie, this has been so much fun. Thank you so much for being on the show. We need to make this a little bit more regular if you guys are up for it. We'd love to have you come back and talk about the trends and what's happening for everybody out there who's hiring, and for people who are looking for jobs. They know what to expect. Really appreciate you guys being on the show today. Did you guys know that it's National Filet Mignon Day?
Did not.
I did.
Go get one tonight. That's my favorite cut of meat. So you can enjoy that. That'll be great. And everybody out there in the audience, thanks for participating today. Make sure you guys come back tomorrow. Got a great episode tomorrow with my friend Matt McClelland. And we're just going to have an awesome time every day at 10:30 a.m. on Standing Out, daily podcast about sales, marketing, and leadership. We'll see you guys right back here. Charlie, Brent, love you guys. Thank you so much. It was a blast.
Say hi to Matt tomorrow for me. And a quick plug for the beta store. Love your merch.
Love it. Go pick up some merch, everybody. Hey, the coupon code is Go Chiefs. I know you're going to love that, Brent. Go pick up some merch, 25% off if you put in Go Chiefs. All right, everybody. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
Bye.